So if an exam is based on 5 chapters, and you've done the classwork and the home sessions and everything, then you would have filled most of the box, but there'll still be gaps left. Now, the best way, depending on the subjects, but the best way to fill and realise where the gaps are through past papers, because past papers bring everything together, and they make it very clear where you're having difficulty. So you can spend your time and go straight back to those sections in your notes on that chapter. That way, it's effective studying because you're using your resources, like your time and your notes, in the best way. You're not going through the whole book again. So past papers can be the last step in filling the gaps. The reason why the gaps appear at the bottom of every chapter is because if a question comes up and you know, let's say 95% of that chapter, but that question is to do with the last 5%, then the whole chapter would have been pointless. Now that 5% can just be a word, it can be half a formula, it can be something you haven't practiced enough. That's why it's always important to fill in the gaps. And that's also why, let's say you say on average that I know 80% of every chapter and I know it very well. But that might not be so good because you know 80%, but if the question comes on that 20%, then the 80% you know is pointless. So far you have got your class notes, the notes you make in your home sessions, and the third piece of notes you want to make is the notes called the known unknowns, or the last week notes. Now, what this is basically every time you get a question wrong in a past paper, you write down what you got wrong. You write down the bit that you forgot or you made a mistake on. For example, in mathematics, if let's say you keep forgetting that cos x squared plus sin x squared equals 1, then you just write that formula on this note. Or let's say that when you integrate something with no limits, you forget to put plus c, then all you'd write is, on your notes, plus c. Because that explains it by itself. So by the end, you'll have a note of everything that you got wrong. Now with some exams like mathematics or the sciences, you want to do as many past papers as possible because it's all practice, that's how you learn. But with some exams like ICT, where the questions keep coming up, similar ones year after year, then it's good to do, let's say, 4 or 5 past papers so you get used to writing for so long, for 2 hours, especially with the last paper. And you spend your other time, the other 5 past papers, you look at the questions and you don't write the answers down, you just think about them. You look at the question and then you look at and then you think about the answer. Now if it matches with the mark scheme, then you leave it at that. But if it doesn't, or if you've got something to add to it, or if you got it completely wrong, then in these notes, all you write is the question, and in bullet point form, you just write down what the answer is.